Colorado competing for the Pac-12 seemed like a dream, but now it's a reality.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? This is Locked On Buffs. I am your host, Kevin Borwood. Today's episode, we're talking about Colorado being Pac-12 title bound. Can they do it? Will they do it? We're going to talk about that. We're going to be talking about the recruiting interest generated in Colorado after their success. And then, of course, I have an updated record prediction. So without further ado, is Colorado able to make it to the Pac-12 title game? If you look at ESPN's FPI, the answer is pretty much no. ESPN's FPI gives them a 0.1 chance, which is worse than programs like Arizona, who has a 0.3, Washington State 0.5, Cal 0.9, UCLA 1.7. But obviously, we don't trust robots. We don't trust these robots and analytical things in today's day and age. No, I think the FPI is a good tool, but should not be a, I guess that should not form your opinion. Like, you shouldn't be like, oh, the FBI says it's not going to happen, so it's not going to happen. But is Colorado Pac-12 title bound? I look at their schedule now, and obviously based off of what they've done over the past couple weeks, I think myself and pretty much everybody in college football has kind of taken a second look at Colorado, been like, wow, they're good, and they're a lot better than I thought. Realistically, by the end of September 16th, which is this Saturday, they should be 3-0. They're going to be playing Colorado State in the Rocky Mountain Showdown, which is an exciting matchup. And then they have at Oregon against USC. That's going to be a tough little stretch there. But I think when it comes to, and I talked about this on Locked On Pac-12 today, which you guys go check out over there, as you can see in our little down the corner over here. Pow, pow. I talked about the Pac-12 as a whole. I think every team has a flaw, and I would say most of the team's flaws, outside of a couple, are defense. USC, major flaws defense. They've kind of been, obviously they've been dominating their opponents, but they've also shown very big signs of weakness against lesser opponents, Mountain West opponents, and even Stanford, where people could run the ball on them. People could, if you have the weapons and the talent, you could throw the ball all over them. So USC's defense is their biggest issue. And if they get into a shootout with Colorado, it really will come down to who has the ball last. Because I think both of these defenses are a little iffy. Colorado's defense, I think, has proved a lot more in their win over Nebraska than USC did again in their win over Stanford. So if Colorado's defense continues to improve, then they don't really have to worry about that. But Caleb Williams is that guy, and their offense is really good. So, but yeah, USC's defense, they're a problem. Oregon, same thing. I don't trust their defense. They're ranked around 60th in the country in total defense. Let's see where Washington ranks, because I don't think their defense is that special either. And realistically, they haven't. I don't really think Washington's resume is anything to marvel at. Washington is 78th in total defense. Washington State is 80th. Oregon is in the 60s. Arizona State, they're going to blow them out. Stanford, probably going to blow them out. UCLA, they have a very young quarterback who I don't know if he's ready to get into a shootout with. I think the best thing that Colorado has going in their favor is they have one of the top offenses in the country, and there's not many offenses, if any. There's probably two in the conference, Washington and USC, that could go blow for blow with them. Any of the other offenses, I don't think they could go blow for blow, and I think that's realistically why. There used to be a saying when I was growing up, and I'm pretty sure it happened with a lot of the people who watch a show when you guys were growing up, that defense wins championships. It's all about the defense. It's all about the defense. Defense may play a role in winning championships, but offense gets you to them. It's a fact. Obviously, Georgia this past couple years had a dominant defense, but they also had really good offenses that were able to put up points. They beat TCU by 50 or whatever it was, because obviously their defense was good, but their offense helped put up points. And same thing with like those Oklahoma teams that made the playoffs. Same thing with some of these Alabama teams that have had solid defenses, but their offenses have helped them get there. Colorado can rely on their offense, which I think is probably a top 10 offense. Let me see in the rankings real quick. because their offense is pretty much virtually unstoppable. Yeah, Colorado currently ranks 14th in total offense behind programs like Ole Miss, Cincinnati, Florida State. Oregon has one of the best offenses in the country. Colorado has to play these offenses. Oregon's number 2, USC is number 5, Washington 6. So they have some very talented offenses that they're going to go up against. And so they need their offense to be able to match theirs and vice versa. Those other programs need their offenses to match Colorado's. Otherwise, it's going to come down to defense, and nobody wants it to come down to defense. And even if it does, I think maybe Colorado's defense could kind of take the route that USC took last year, because they've been forcing turnovers. We've seen them pick off Jeff Sims a couple times. We saw them pick off Chandler Morris a couple times. So it's really like a toss-up, because where does Colorado rank? Colorado's tied for 6th in turnovers forced. They have 6 on the year, which is 2 behind San Diego State and Liberty, who have 8 and are in first place. So if Colorado could continue to force turnovers, they could kind of take the path that USC did last year, where they made it to the Pac-12 title game with a kind of weak defense, but one that forced a lot of turnovers. And I think that's kind of the route for Colorado, unless the defense continues to improve and just all of a sudden is locking people down in the run game, which I don't know if I could see that, but I could see them continuing to improve in the pass game, which would be huge considering most of these weapons are quarterbacks. But what I was saying, if Colorado wants to make it to the Pac-12 title game, their offense needs to be able to outscore everybody, and their defense needs to get a couple stops. And I think that's possible. And then just going through every Pac-12 team, like I was, USC, their flaws are defense. Oregon, flaws are defense. Washington, defense. Utah, health. Cam Rising, Brant Kuthi have yet to play. They've had some injuries on defense, and they just lost one of their running backs for the year. So they have issues. Oregon State is probably a team that I don't like how Colorado matches up with, because they're stout defensively. And then obviously they have a very, very good rushing attack, which has kind of been Colorado's weakness on offense, or on defense, excuse me. But defensively, Oregon State ranks 11th in the country. So that's going to be a tough matchup there. UCLA, they have a young quarterback. I think he's going to be a great quarterback. I think he's probably a future first-round pick. I'm not even lying to you. He's that good. But can he keep up with Shedeur in a shootout? I don't think so. Obviously, we'll find out when they play each other. Cal's offense is better, but I don't know if they could keep up with Colorado's. And even against Auburn this past week, they were nothing special on offense. Their offensive ranking is definitely benefiting from blowing out. I think they played North Texas or North Dakota their first game. Washington State, defense issues. Arizona, their quarterback could probably on his best day keep up with Shedeur. The only problem is I don't know how often he has those best days where he's keeping up with the best quarterbacks in the country, because he is a gunslinger and he will throw 3 interceptions. Like, if I had to make a bold prediction about the Arizona game, which Colorado plays in week 10, Saturday, November 11th, it would be that Travis Hunter picks off Jaden Delora twice. So we'll circle back to that. Stanford, they have no experience, and they're just kind of a overall weak team on defense. Offense, they can't keep up with Colorado, unless when they switch quarterbacks, things changes. And then Sun Devils, Arizona State, they have a freshman quarterback, and their roster is very much they flipped their roster, and it's not working to the same effect as Colorado's. So there is definitely a path for Colorado to make it to the Pac-12, at least. I think they just need their offense to outscore people. They need a few things to fall their way. And honestly, the Pac-12 is just going to eat itself alive. So they probably need some tiebreaker things to work in their favor, which isn't really like the craziest analysis. People breaking news team needs something to go their way, but that's just how it is in this new Pac-12, this new and old Pac-12, because the Pac-12 is probably going to cease to exist after this season, which is truly unfortunate. But I think if you told me before the year that by week 2 I'd be talking about Colorado contending for the Pac-12 title, I'd be like, really? But now I think it's a huge possibility. And I think that if they are able to knock off some of these other top teams, it will blow up on social media. It will blow up their chances, and it'll blow up in recruiting, which kind of has already blown up, which I'll talk to after I tell you about our one of our sponsors, eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps you ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof rafts, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more, whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebay.com/motors. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. Okay, we are back talking about recruiting. I was gonna have someone on to talk about recruiting, but who needs to really do that when we could just dive into it? Realistically, I talked about this many times. I said the more success Colorado has, the more interest people will have in the program. I think there's something to be said about their. Let me go back to when Coach Prime took the job. I'll just go there. When Coach Prime took the job at Colorado, he said he had, I think the number was like 200 transfers and recruits reach out to him. And they brought in a lot of transfers. They brought in some recruits, had a top 25 class, obviously flipped Dylan Edwards from Notre Dame, got him from away from Oklahoma and stuff like that. But there was also a lot of hesitancy about Colorado. I think there was interest in going to Colorado, but in terms of like, am I going to put my name, not my name, like obviously it's not me, the high school recruits, am I going to put my name linked to that program when I don't know how good they are? Because I think there was, and especially if you read everything about Colorado and what people thought were going to happen, they were going to be terrible. They were going to have the worst roster in the country. It was going to be a dumpster fire. Coach Prime was going to be fired by year one. It was kind of like the census that people were kind of getting at if it didn't go well. And so if you're a recruit, that's kind of scary because while they say don't commit to the coach, commit to the program, that has never been true. And now with the one-time transfer rule, that will never be true because realistically, if a player wants to commit to, say, Colorado and Coach Prime, for some reason, hypothetical, if he leaves, the player could follow him. So you commit to a coach. The program is kind of like I think the program is secondary. I think you commit to a coach at a program you think you fit in, which has always kind of been the truth anyway. Anyway, there's always been interest, but recruits were kind of hesitant to be like, yeah, I'm going to pull the trigger and I'm going to go play at Colorado because we didn't know what Colorado was. And that's okay. And I think we're learning what they are, which is a program trending upward and a program that a lot of people are wanting to play for now. As we learned today in an article by The Athletic, Coach Prime was talking about his recruiting, and he says, we're receiving so many calls at this point that it's absurd. And this was at his weekly press conference, just inquiring about what we do and how we do what we do. Visitation designed to come on unofficial and official visits. Obviously, you can't blame these people for being interested. Colorado has had their first two games on Big Noon Kickoff. Their third game will be on game day. Fox Big Noon Kickoff will be there. ESPN's First Take will be there, and I think someone else will be there. I forgot who it was. There's going to be 4 major outlets going to be there at the game. So obviously, the buzz is in Boulder. There was a video today of the students lining up to get an extra ticket, which if you've been to the campus, there's like a little staircase by the field, and it's literally like probably like I think it's 2 or 3 like little wraparounds. And there were students lined up out there at like 6 or 5 a.m. wanting to get one extra ticket for the game this weekend because it's in such high demand that pretty much all their games are going to be sold out, and especially rivalry games like this. And so everybody wants to be at Colorado. And I don't think recruits want to be there as well. So to see that it's like at an all-time high, it's ridiculous. Isn't shocking. Brian Smith, when he came on the show, told us that the more Colorado wins, the more recruits that will be interested because Coach Prime, he's cool, he's hip, he's in touch with the youth. Oh, by the way, he happens to be one of the best athletes ever. More importantly, one of the best football players ever. And it's just something that these recruits are attracted to. And so I think from a recruiting standpoint, because Colorado's class right now, I don't think it's anything, I wouldn't say it's bad, but it's not as special as many would think it would be because I feel like people are waiting it out. Colorado's recruiting class currently ranks 76th in the country. headlined by Aaron Butler. He's the only player ranked in the top 247. Then you have Brandon Davis-Swain, Omar White, Eric Brantley, Zakara Lewis, Danny O'Neal, the quarterback, Tylen Chandler, Michael Welch. But also, they have a huge recruit coming, figuratively and literally, coming to visit this weekend against Colorado State. He's a 4-star lineman, Jordan Seaton, IMG Academy, another one of those Florida guys that Coach Prime is attracting. I just think Colorado's cool, and I think winning will only help them more. And I think once he lands, obviously Aaron Butler is a huge recruit. They flipped him from USC. He was a 1-point Texas A&M commit. But once they get like another big name to happen, like to commit now, it's going to start the snowball effect. There's going to be more kids being like, you know what, maybe I should go to Colorado. And so seeing that there's more interest doesn't shock me. Why would you not want to play for Colorado? The offense is exciting. You get to play for top tier coaching. You get to play for Coach Prime. Sean Lewis' system is exciting. And even if Sean Lewis leaves for a head coaching job, which at this point he probably will, just because he's doing so well, Coach Prime has an innate ability to bring in great coordinators, so he'll probably bring in another great coordinator. Charles Kelly has coached with Jimbo Fisher. He's coached at Georgia. He's coached at Alabama. He knows what he's doing. And they have a bunch of former pros on the staff. So you're going to get top-tier coaching. I think the buy-in around Colorado with the athletic directors and the athletic department in general is way more. The fans love Colorado and Coach Prime so much that they're literally starting a petition to pay his salary, or not pay his salary, to kind of like give him a raise to keep him there. Like Colorado is all in on Coach Prime, and I don't think I've ever seen a college program be so in on a person. Like Nick Saban, obviously at Alabama, is like when you win championships, everybody's all in. But Alabama could afford to pay Nick Saban whatever he wants. Colorado, they made it very clear when Coach Prime was hired, they don't have the money, but they'll figure out a way to get it. And with the fans being so fascinated and so bought into this, they're pretty much offering to pay his salary, or his whatever you want to call it, his pay increase for him. Obviously, I think it might help, but this Colorado program is rejuvenated. It's cool. Young recruits want to play here, and realistically, it's going to be continuing to trend in that direction. I wouldn't be surprised if Colorado has a top 25 class by the time things are all said and done. You just need to get cooking a little bit. And I think having another huge win on national television this weekend will only help that. Before we move on, I'm going to talk about this huge win this weekend and the rest of the season, and what my record prediction is now after we've seen a couple games. And now I know what to expect from this Colorado team. But before we do, I want to tell you about our sponsor, Jace. We never know if there's an emergency. Everyone should be empowered to care for themselves and their loved ones during the unexpected. That's why Jace Medical offers the Jace Case. The Jace Case provides 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use and gives you peace of mind so that you're not hoping that you have access to medication in an emergency. Jace Medical makes sure you have the medication in hand. Jace Medical is simple. They handle everything from the online evaluation to licensed pharmacy medication delivery and ongoing consultation and care. Don't get caught unprepared. Save more than $360 by getting these life-saving antibiotics with Jace Medical, plus an additional $20 off by using code LOCKEDON at checkout on jacemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com. Promo code LOCKED ON. Okay, we're back. We're talking about my record prediction. I was pretty confident in my record prediction before the year. 6-6, had them making to a bowl game, probably winning a bowl game. So probably would have turned into 7-6. But now I would say I could confidently, I'm going to predict, this is my updated record prediction. I could be wrong again, which, I mean, I don't know if I'm wrong yet, but I feel like I'm trending towards being wrong at 6-6. I think they're an 8 or 9 win team. And I look at their schedule. I think they blow out Colorado State. Realistically, I think they could steal one from Oregon or USC. I think they could steal one of those games. But let's just go in order. Colorado State win. I think Oregon's the tougher one, so I'll go loss there. USC, I think they could win that. I think they could beat Arizona State, which would put them at 5-2 or 5-1, excuse me. I think they beat Stanford 6-1. I think they beat UCLA 7-1. I think they lose to Oregon State 7-2. I think they beat Arizona 8-2, and then I think the their last couple games. Washington State, I think that's a win, and then Utah's a loss at Utah, week 12. It's gonna be a tough one. So all in all, let me count that again. We got 2, 3-0, 3-1, 4-1, 5-1, 6-1, 7-1, 7-2, 8-2, 9-2, and then 9-3. So I think 9-3 is very much in the realm of possibility. And the teams that I predicted them, to lose against, are physical, have great run games, and I think until I see Colorado, excuse me, just a second. Until I see Colorado able to slow down the run, because even in the Nebraska game, Nebraska was still able to run the ball when they wanted. They just chose not to. Don't know why, but I think that's going to be Colorado's biggest issue. And I think there was an argument made after the TCU game that if you take out the one big run, then their defense is much better, right? Their stats are much better and all that, which is true. But we've seen in both games that they've been prone to giving up that one big run. So it's hard to be like, let's just take away a major play and we'll call it good, because obviously they have to prevent those major plays. So I think 9-3 is very much in the realm of possibility. I think with losses to Oregon State, and Utah, it'd be a little tough to make the Pac-12 title game. And they would, like I said earlier, they need some tiebreakers, but 9 wins seems as possible as ever. I think Coach Prime wins 9 wins. They probably make it to a very good bowl game, maybe the Alamo Bowl, or I don't know what the bowl tie-ins are right now off the top of my head, but a bowl game is very much going to happen for Colorado unless something chaotic happens. As long as they could, and this is my keys to this record prediction. Defense needs to improve. I think if the defense could slow down the run, they'll be a completely different team. Speaking of the run game, we need one. Colorado's run game is atrocious at the moment. If you look at their stats, and this is counting like quarterback rushing and stuff like that. So obviously Shedeur being sacked 11 times doesn't help. On 67 carries, they've accumulated 113 yards as a team, 1.7 yards per carry, and they have 4 rushing touchdowns, which, I mean, not bad, but 1.7 yards per carry won't get it done. Dylan Edwards leads the team in rushing with 79 yards. Not going to get it done. They need Alton McCaskill. Not sure when he's going to come back, but they need him to come in and be an impact player right away, which is, I think, why they're waiting so long. They don't want to rush him back. Kavosi Smoke hasn't done anything. Has, I think, 1 carry on the year. Yeah, 1 carry. So they need a spark in the run game. And then the offensive line needs to be better. Like I said, Shedeur Sanders has been sacked 11 times, which is, when you look at, okay, let's compare. Jackson State, his first year, sacked 35 times. That's a lot. Was able to cut back on the sacks this past year, 23 sacks. This year, through 2 games, he's been sacked 11 times, which is nearly half of 23. Let me do some quick math right here. It's pretty much half of 23. So he's been sacked. He's averaging, we'll just do this, 11 divided by 2, and he is getting sacked nearly 6 times a game. That's not going to work. That's not going to cut it. So when these teams that have some deep, even like USC, who has a bad defense, they have guys who could rush the passer. So if these teams can continuously get to Shedeur, 1, that's going to hurt. 2, we don't want Shedeur to get hurt, because if Shedeur Sanders gets hurt, then you're forcing Ryan Staub or Galvin Cludd or Colton Allen, I think it's Ryan Staub is the backup, into action. And no offense to any of those guys, but we do not need, if you're a Colorado fan, you do not need to see them try to have the impact that Shedeur will, because they just won't. And Shedeur is a projected top first round pick now, and it's just hard to replace that. So the offensive line needs to figure it out. Run game needs to figure out, and the defense needs to continue to improve like they have been, but they still need some improvement there. So yeah, I think Colorado's a 9-win team. That's 3 wins up for my previous prediction. You comment below what you think your prediction will be, or what your prediction is. I appreciate you guys for tuning in to Locked On Buffs and making it your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. We just hit 3,000 subs. I'd like to see that number continue to grow, and we're going to have some great guests coming up this week. Colin Moore from Life and Football is coming on. Raymond Lucas Jr. from 24/7 is coming back on, and we're going to be talking all things Colorado. So you won't want to miss it. Hope you guys have a great day.